Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the coziest part of Solana's finest podcast, Sol Brothers. Markets, prices, charts, and technical analysis. Eno, welcome back. We're going to try to make some sense of the charts today. How do you feel? How do you feel about the market? Are you bullish? It's a big week for all of us.
I am very bullish because we are approaching very fast to breakpoint. In fact, I'm flying out there tomorrow. But my understanding is, I already know this because, and if any of our longtime listeners have been paying any attention, Simon is already in the United Arab Emirates. How's the vibes over there, Simon?
Boy, everyone's here. All my friends are here, which is amazing. So we already had a lot of action this week in Dubai because I think all of the Solana community is heading to the United Arab Emirates right now, and a lot of people were already here this week in the Solana Economic Zone. So we had, really good people on site. I went to where it all started. Yesterday I went to Nas House, the Solana Founders Villa, where there's a lot of memories in the walls. In that building, because that's where I started my journey on Solana personally, because I came there as a crypto builder exploring ecosystems. Basically, I was just I was searching for home, and I found it there. I had a really good time there, and I returned to Nas House probably 2 times after the first Founders Villa we spent there. And it was great to be back there, especially at an event with a lot of Solana people. Shout out to Magic Blocks, who organized this year's edition of the Solana Founders Villa. It was obviously called not that. It was called Magic Garden, I think. It was great to see some friends there as well. But I think we're leading up to breakpoint, not only in terms of excitement in the ecosystem, also in terms of chart activity. Because right now, while I was talking, my alarm triggered on TradingView. So I think something happened right now. I think we crossed some line that I assigned importance to in the past days. So let's check it out. Let's see what's happening on the charts and what we're missing here while we're yapping. Okay, so we're looking at my 1 hour chart here right now of the Solana price. And as you guys can see, this red line here, this dotted line, was a resistance area that I had on my chart here that I was watching for a breakthrough. The bigger resistance is still up here on $145, but we're right now trying to make our way back up there. We're kind of breaking out here. We saw an impulse yesterday in the Sunday volatility window that usually happens at the end of each weekend. There's a bit of volatility and volume leading up to the Monday opening. That volatility was definitely there, up, down, but now we're breaking up again. This looks definitely in the very short term here like a fairly bullish structure, but let's zoom out again and reset a little bit for everyone who kind of lost track of where we are here in the market. We saw the bottom potentially at $120. There's still the yellow scenario on my chart here, besides the red one. The red scenario already, the bottom's already in. So in the red scenario, we're zooming out and we can see that we kind of fulfilled a lot of these wave counts and sub wave counts. Let me try to zoom this a little bit clearer. So we have a C wave here that ended in a corrective sideways movement to the downside here. And that is this larger correction that started on the $250 mark. This year's, was it this year's all-time high? No, actually, we printed an all-time high this year. This is the second half of 2025 all-time high. 2025 made, I think, 2 major tops that we saw on the price chart. We had the January high, which was the all-time high of Solana, and then we had another approach right here. But I think we can see one more. And the question is, are we getting there? And if yes, when? If this structure is complete and the ABC is formed the bottom here, then we're now basically working on our way up again. And we have a few resistance areas to watch here. First of all, we need to now fulfill this third wave to the upside after this 1-2 setup on my chart. So I shifted a few labelings here around over the past days compared to the last session we did together, based on new data that we have on the chart, because there was quite a chop going on here that invalidated a few other counts. But right now, I think we have a nice 1-2 setup here on the chart, and we could see a third wave to the upside here. Bears are still very strong. Every time we're trying to pump, we see a lot of rejection here. So far we haven't managed to break through the $145, $146 here. So actually this level right now, where the golden line here is on my chart, that would be what I'm watching as the next major breakthrough level. Like if we manage to break out here, but we need an impulse. Like we can't break through like this, where you kind of make it, but then you get rejected immediately. That is, the bears are still leading on that front. But from a wave count perspective, if this is a wave A to the upside here of this larger 3 wave, and this is a wave B, which makes sense, then the C wave needs to overshoot the A wave, and it needs to bring us into higher areas here. And technically, let's see if this is the upside to the 1 here, and then we have the 2 down here, then we should land, where you see the orange box right now on the chart. We should land somewhere in that orange box for this third wave here as a first target area. So yeah, that's literally 146. Then we have, I think the most important FIB extension I would be watching right now is the 1.618. So let's see if we can reach the $150 here and maybe even the $163 in that third wave extension if the bulls pull through. Again, the yellow scenario is still on the chart. The yellow scenario means that all this orange stuff that's going on here could just be a fourth wave, this one here, of the larger downside movement right now. And the fourth wave could be stopped over here, and we could go down into this fifth wave for it right now. Technically, the limits are already reached for that, but the fourth wave can also extend either in the orange box or all the way up to $205. So only if we manage in the next couple sessions to break over the $205, and this could take a bit of time as well if it's not aggressive, then only if we break through this, then I think the all-time high is really, really feasible again. It is still feasible as of now, right? But it depends on the next sessions, on what macro is doing. And this week is a packed macro week. And we do have a few of items as well on the macro agenda that we can share here in today's price analysis. What do we have on the macro agenda right now to kind of double tap on?
Sorry about that. So my mic was muted. It's been a pretty crazy week. We've had some bullish numbers, which might bode very well for the next few months. But nothing is more entertaining than this man right here.
At some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay.
That makes no sense. At least the statement makes no sense. What is he even implying there? Why is, I mean, I get that the idea of no income tax is very bullish, but how is this feasible in USA?
So I think income tax, when we covered it last, accounts for $2 trillion in income to the US government. Tariffs currently are sitting at about 80 billion. The math is not mathing. I don't know where he's going to make up the different 2 trillion in tariffs. What does that even mean?
That would basically imply you have to get a shitload of third party, like just countries, right? And governments and like everything that's outside of the US, you'd have them to make up for all the difference between the income tax. That's kind of what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to make everyone else than US citizens pay for US income to kind of make up for the tax, right? Because that's tariffs. Tariffs are applied on outside, everything outside the US. You're muted.
But that all gets passed on to the consumer, right? Like if I'm a manufacturer of a $20,000 potato peeler machine, industrial in China, and then Trump says that there's I saw an article about like some industrial machines, or Germany, let's say. Yeah, but there's like it's like a hopper, and then you put in a bunch of potatoes, and then like out comes peeled potatoes, right? So like let's say that piece of equipment costs $20,000, and then the United States government levies 100% tariff on the $20,000 machine. What that's going to mean for the manufacturer in China is that like they have to sell it for at least $40,000 in order to see 20,000, right? So like, are they going to eat the full cost? They might eat some of the cost, right? They might not double the price, but they certainly will increase the price, right? To maybe like $38,000, $37,000. And so like, it just means that American customers will pay double, if not more, for certain goods because those tariffs will be levied onto the consumer.
Yeah. But I think it's a classical Trump move, right? It looks good to the outside world, but how realistic is this really to happen? Like no income tax for USA. The income tax sits at what, like 30, 40, up to 50%, depending on how much you make per year. That is a lot of money that they get right now from each individual that is earning inside money. Like you can, in Dubai it works, right? But USA is not Dubai. I think they have to. Like, here you have 80% expats, they all bring their wealth, but no one is going to the US really right now. People are leaving the US to do business elsewhere. So they have some structural problems. I don't think that is the solution to it. But anyway, we don't, like, this is not affecting the markets right now at all. This is very far in the future. It's just one of the things Trump says to probably, increase his chances to perform well in the midterms. I do have like a little. I stumbled upon a little piece of news here as well. That's not on our radar right now, but real quick, you can pull that screen up. Macron, in the European Union, the French president, sounds alarm on U.S. crypto deregulation. Very interesting article here that I stumbled upon, where basically Macron said that the U.S. Is deregulating crypto too much. And if the US lets grow crypto too freely, it could create risks that spill over globally, since stablecoins often rely on USD assets. So there's, especially European states here are watching the US currently, which has been fairly anti-crypto in the past with Operation Choke Point 1.0 and 2.0. And now they are getting a bit scared that the US might become actually a crypto safe haven kind of environment. And for me, it looks more like they are trying to they're trying to point the finger, and they're scared of the new technology and of what it could imply to the world, especially because stablecoins are right now denominated in US dollars, right? And less in euros for reasons. Europe is having a difficult time when it comes to crypto, and it's because of statements like this, honestly. I understand where they're coming from, but I'm on the side of the US currently, 100%, when it comes to crypto regulation.
I mean, the denomination in US dollars isn't so much of an issue. I mean, like you could have like a euro-backed stablecoin. A euro-pegged stablecoin. It's more of like the underlying collateralization, right? So most stablecoins are collateralized by T-bills, right? And so what happens to stablecoins that are collateralized by T-bills if T-bills collapse? Because of really bad fiscal policy by the United States. That actually is super dangerous. And it would mean, I guess the US denomination would matter if the price of the US dollar also collapses. These are all bad scenarios.
Yeah, that is kind of black swan, right? But I think from what I'm seeing as well is that the USA has benefits from liquidity in US dollar denominated stablecoins, because they're basing, they're issuing almost like debt. They're issuing debt that is, pulling in. They're selling their debt vehicles to stablecoin companies that are issuing and minting stablecoins that are used by the global population of the world. So, if USDC, USDT, and all these USD denominated stablecoins are the internet currency of the future, that means they are also the global currency, which US dollar remains to be as the reserve asset. But it's bullish for the US dollar, I think, to get a lot of US dollar liquidity in stablecoins. And it might be something that the EU is afraid of for some reasons. But anyway, returning to the markets, returning to things that are actually impacting the markets, what is happening with this chart here? It looks like it's going up and to the right. Very bullish chart, definitely. I want to buy that token. What are we looking at?
Yeah, well, we're looking at the M2 money supply of the US dollar. And so the M2 money supply refers to the amount of liquid assets that like households and businesses have on hand to spend, right? So this is actually part of the reason why Europe is a little worried. In fact, this little outlier is due to COVID, right? So we printed a lot of money during COVID to keep the economy afloat, and it did a passable job at achieving that goal. And that's also why we saw, I think, a cycle, or a fairly bullish cycle at that time, just because there was a lot more money for customers to spend, or people were feeling more willing to spend. And there was a bit of a downtrend, which is welcome. But now we're seeing another uptick in M2 money supply. We've hit an all-time high at $22 trillion. That is nuts.
I think liquidity cycle is not over. The liquidity cycle is not over. And it just had a little bit of a pullback in the past couple of months after COVID. But the money printer is being reactivated. We do have changes in the FOMC that are going to be announced this week, actually. So there's a meeting, I think, on Monday now in the US where we could see further details regarding quantitative easing. We did a lot of tightening in the past couple of weeks and months. We can see more quantitative easing again. So balance sheet expansion, more money in the ecosystem, in the whole economy is usually good for assets because it will find its way into yield appreciation and these assets, right? Like Solana. And on top of that, we have the rate cut decisions as well coming in this week. So they will also come in hot. There's another FOMC meeting scheduled for Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely something to watch here when it comes to fiscal policy. And we covered it before, and I'll say it again, we do get potentially a new chair as well for the Fed. Right now, Jerome Powell is kind of, doing its thing. That is definitely not aligned with what Trump wants. But Hassett could be the next one. And Hassett, is actually a person that owns, I don't know if you know that, but Hassett owns $1 to $5 million, something between dollars worth of Coinbase stock in his personal portfolio. That is significant money. And on top of that, he gets paid a yearly salary from Coinbase for advisory services. And that salary is $50,000 and $50,001 per year, just for advisory service to Coinbase. And this guy is going to be potentially, to I think 80% poly market chances, the next chair of the Fed. I don't want to say anything, but it could be bullish.
Yeah, I mean, it at least signals that we have someone who's very crypto aligned. Potentially
Powell,
becoming the
right?
next Fed chair. It's I mean, I don't know, Simon. Like, this is the world that we wanted. Really low rate, like 1% interest rate, potentially. A crypto friendly Fed chair. Very high M2 money supply. It's good for our bags, but I would like to pause and just ask, like, is it good for the world? Like, I'm not entirely sure.
No, it is pushing it's kicking the can down the road, right? So you gotta be careful in this environment. It's not going to go well for long, right? But that's a systematic issue with how politics works and how cycles and policy works, and very almost too short-sighted, right? Like, that's why Dubai and the UAE are performing really well, because they don't have 4-year cycles and that shit. There's one guy, he's wearing the pants. Actually, they don't wear pants here, but he's doing his thing. Like, he's the guy who walks the talk and who makes the decision. And everyone looks up to him, right? To the government here, very well respected. And these guys are just doing their thing for years, for decades, right? They have a very long fucking time horizon until they need to reach their goals and make sure the country is going up into the right on all values. And it is slower than the die-hard capitalism of the US. But it's more sustainable growth, while the US has like bursts of growth. Fucking everything goes up. S&P all-time highs. We're going to 8,000. Whatever's happening right now. And then we also have crashes and resets and bubbles and all that shit. Why do just it's almost like psychology. It's like human psychology. If you do something too extreme, you're going to crash at some point. You're going to recover and you're going to start again. And that is okay. We can move in cycles, because as long as the cycles go up and down and up higher and down and up higher, right? It's a spiral to the right corner, then that's fine, right? But it does add a lot of volatility, and it kills a lot of people on the way up. So TLDR, inflation could kill us in the next couple of years if rates would really hit 1%. I don't think it's going to be good for inflation in the long term. That's going to increase. Yeah, there's going to be too much money in the. But maybe that's why crypto is interesting right now, honestly.
Yeah,
I'd rather hold Bitcoin.
But I mean, we do have a couple of roadblocks in the way, and this also might affect the macro, Simon. Kevin Griffin, who is the CEO of Citadel, which is one of the biggest high-frequency trading firms in the world, is I don't know if do you know what he did with Constitution DAO?
I heard of it. I forgot it.
But yeah, Constitution DAO raised like $20 million to buy a copy of the U.S. Constitution, and then Kevin Griffin outbid them. But like, more importantly, he more specifically Citadel, but most likely under Kevin Griffin's direction, is looking to have the SEC regulate DeFi protocols way more seriously, right? And so the thing that he's harping on is this concept of fair access. So basically, fair access means that exchanges and large ATSs must fairly apply objective access standards to all prospective subscribers, thus removing discrimination amongst market participants with respect to access, functionality, order, interaction, and fees. So get this. He's basically saying that DeFi protocols should not be allowed in the United States because they could arbitrarily remove access to someone's ability to use the DeFi system without, fair standards. Kevin Griffin, of all people, is saying that we can't have DeFi because like it reduces access to participants, and that protocols can arbitrarily remove access to certain wallets, which I just think is like a nonsensical argument if you understand how DeFi actually works. Like it's not KYC'd. Anybody you could create multiple wallets and gain access to the platform again. Certainly they could block access to a particular wallet. But yeah, no, I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah. Armani has a good take on it, right? The problem is that DeFi is not well defined, and so all of these conversations are apples and oranges. There's sexes, there's unregulated sexes, there's DEXs, there's unregulated sexes pretending to be DEXs. Uniswap doesn't fall into this bucket, but many have to have the ability to provide unfair market access. Yeah, it's purely a trust me, bro, security model. True. I mean, and that also ties into another small piece of news as a last little nugget here before we close off this macro section. I don't know if you've seen that, but South Korea to treat crypto exchanges like banks after the Upbit hack. There's regulation happening over in Korea, my friend. Lawmakers are considering revisions that will allow fines up to 3% of annual revenue. That's a lot of revenue for these big exchanges for hacking incidents, matching standards for traditional finance institutions, replacing the current 5 billion won cap. So, they want more accountability to exchanges in Korea so that they get their shit together and not get hacked anymore, because we recorded 20 system failures between 2023 and September this year, affecting over 900 users with combined loss of 5 billion won. Is that good? I think it's good. Is it good?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously we hate to see regulation like this, but like this is how regulations pile on top of each other and create these really clunky legacy systems. And in some cases it's very good, right? Like obviously
User
it is
protection.
good. Yeah, it's good to have consequences for not taking care of your users correctly. That's all a good thing. But again, like we just have to be careful that these regulations don't stack on top of each other and create a lot of unintended consequences down the road. And that's why in many cases, it's in crypto's best interest to self-regulate and to do the right thing for customers, not simply because, it's the right thing to do. That is, merited. That is good enough on its own. But also, we don't want to end up in the same situation as the banks, right? Which is having impossible standards to meet, and now like it's almost impossible to innovate in finance.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a very fine line between security and like regulation for security of the user, for user protection, which is great. And like whoever holds capital, that the capital is protected. We kind of need that. But you're always going to slow down the system with that, right? So, it is what it is. But ladies and gents, this has been your TA charts and macro section of the week. We're kicking off the week strong. The charts are looking good. The candles are green. Let's see if we can hold that momentum. We're going to check in again later this week, actually from Breakpoint, live from the UAE, from Abu Dhabi, to give you an update on the charts and on the prices. Until then, you guys stay safe out there. Don't take too much leverage, even though you can take 500x on flash trade. But we will see you at the next one. Make sure to follow our YouTube at Salt Brothers Pod, and also check out the other videos when we cover all the great news and launches on Solana. Thank you, and until the next one. Awesome. GM stream, by the way, we're going to hop from one section into the other section. That was prices, markets, and everything in between. GM chat says Dogo, GM. Also Marco in the comments here. GM, my friend, I hope you're well wherever you are. Maybe you guys are already here also in the UAE. I don't know. Eno, are you ready for the next section?
Let's do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is Soul Brothers with myself, Simon, and my good friend Eno, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem.
Our mission is to take you on the latest and greatest so that you never run out of fuck. I have not fucked up an intro in a very, very long time. Let's try that again.
You never run out of fuck. You actually said that. Right?
Our mission is to help you stay on top of the latest and greatest so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. Simon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I am well nourished. Went to gym, had my eggs. I got my cold brew with me because I'm fancy and I'm drinking Starbucks cold brew. Don't judge me for it. But I am ready to chat Solami, and I'm also ready to welcome you to the UAE when you are flying in here soon, which shall be in the next days, I think tomorrow already. So very looking forward to be united again for next episode that is probably going to be in person from Breakpoint. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to hang out. But of course, we have a super packed agenda today, so we want to try to avoid, boring our listeners for 2 hours. But certainly, there's a lot to cover, Simon. Even though it's only been a weekend, it's just it's a fire hose of information. You ready to go?
Guys, if you're not bullish enough on Solana, then listen to this. We're going to tell you today why Solana leads not only in devs and in assets, but also in volume and in revenue. We're going to talk about Solana ETFs and how much records we're hitting on that front as well. Solana DeFi TVL is also performing really, really well across major protocols. We're going to cover that. Solstice has some new milestones that we're going to cover as well. And there's been a new project. I actually met the founder, BonkX, and they are making waves on Twitter. We're going to talk about that. DFDV is partnering with a stable coin company on Solana, and they are targeting a really juicy APY. We're going to talk about squats and some updates from the squats ecosystem on Solana. Lifinity proposes shutdown and asset return. We have Plume, a new app that we're going to cover as well. And we have some really spicy deep dives for you today. We're going to talk about Solana versus Base because there's some beef in the ecosystem. And we're going to retrospectively look at the WET token launch, not the launch, but the actual launch pet and the public sale, what happened back then. So, let's without further ado, dive right in.
Yeah, well, the first thing that we're obviously going to talk about is a video from our very good friend, Pedro Miranda, who works over at Solana Foundation. Let's give it a go.
Snapchat, TikTok, other large applications, the cumulative market value of those assets might be greater than AWS. I think ultimately that's net positive for both the application builders and from like an L1 monetary premium perspective. And as Solana still leads, number one in developer growth, net new asset issuance, trading volume, application revenue, I expect that trend to continue. And candidly, we welcome that if people are building successful killer businesses on Solana.
So isn't it weird to watch a podcast on a podcast?
I mean, I'm learning. I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn, it's a nice setup. I wish we would have a setup like this.
Yeah, very soon, my friend.
I know you're working on it. Yeah.
But you heard Pedro.
What's up?
We're number one in developer growth, number one in net new asset issuance, trading volume, application revenue. Like, this is not new news to anyone who's watching the show. And so going into Breakpoint, we're ready to just fucking crush it.
Hell yeah. Up and to the right.
Yeah. And the next piece of news that we'd love to talk about is over in ETF world. Now, ETFs have slowed down a little bit this week. The cumulative net inflows were 19 million. Last week, it was at about 100 million. But the winner for this week is, again, ding, 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 BSOL. They have $55 million worth of inflows. So even though the net inflows were 19, BSOL themselves have grown even larger. And what's going on with 21 shares, man? Do you see this?
Yeah, that's the only red number, and it's a big one. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, bringing down the average is what they're doing.
Yeah, guys, stop doing that. We need to pull up the average here. We need more bullish things to talk about. So I don't know. I mean, overall, it looks really good. It looks good when the outside world is buying Solana via ETFs, right? I think especially right now at these prices, right? Fear and greed is sitting still at 20, is really low. So even though there's fear in the market and blood on the streets, normal people are buying Solana via ETFs. That is that for me, that signals conviction. That is good, good tech.
Right. And man, Solana DeFi protocols are having a breakout week. We're seeing a big bounce in some protocols on Solana. So like Saros, which is a DEX, has had over 72% surge in TVL. Remora, which is the recently released RWA stocks, MSTR, Tesla, Circle, stock tokenization play. Their TVL has pumped 30%, Sanctum 11%, Flash Trade also 11%, and then Loopscale, one of the best looping strategy platforms on Solana, has pumped by 7%. So a lot of notable protocols are increasing in size quite rapidly going into breakpoint.
Yeah, that is actually interesting to observe, right? Like especially right now, like there's we're not bullish. As I said, fear and greed is sitting fairly low. People are scared, and it seems like people are pulling out money, but people are actually putting in money. Interesting.
Yeah.
That signals conviction. It's a kind of a theme right now of today's stream here.
The tokens, it's so weird. The token is down Sol, but if you look at like the protocol activity, it's up. Everything is up.
Well, but that, my friend, that is still one thing we gotta fix in this industry. For Solana, it's less severe, but for the altcoins, it is more severe. Stats are always looking good, man. Like business as well. Like a lot of the projects on Solana are having good business, and Jupiter is a great example. Like business is good, but the token is kind of shit, and they're not alone. Like everyone is down in the altcoin sector. Why is the liquidity flowing out? Why is no one, because I know why. Because there's not a clear value proposition for the tokens still after 5 fucking years of building. So we still have some shit to figure out. Anyway, the TLDR is that at least business is great and numbers are going up and TVLs are increasing. Do we have more bullish news?
Yeah, one last thing that we'd like to share in this segment of the Solana by the numbers is USX, which is a new stablecoin on the block minted by our friends over at Solstice, has reached a new TVL all-time high of $326 million. I don't think that is insane in stablecoin world. It's very hard for stablecoins to gain traction. Last I checked, this was at about 100 million. So it's clear that they have some institutional depositors, but it just goes to show that if you have a high yielding stablecoin like USX, I mean, if you deposit USX into their yield vault, you actually can earn about 15%. So like that's why I think their TVL growth has been so aggressive. This is not financial advice. It is a synthetic US dollar. It's not as safe. The risk profile is not the same as USDC, which is just collateralized by treasury bills and cash equivalents. But for the risk that you're taking, you're getting 15% yield. So that's all pretty interesting.
What else is interesting is a bunch of big news we have for you in a quick rapid fire format here when it comes to Solana. So we're gonna give you a few headlines right now so that you, don't run out of fun things to talk about with your friends when it comes to Solana. So first and foremost, Bonk just launched the Bonk X Neobank. Last Friday, the newest project in the Bonk ecosystem was announced at Solana Demo Day here in Dubai and Solana Economic Zone. Bonk X is a neobank which integrates IBAN accounts, spending cards, payroll, and stablecoin cashbacks. The waitlist has over 20,000 signups and is led by Branch, a builder from formerly led product experience for a $100 billion a year card program. The Bonk ecosystem never stops shipping.
And next up, DFDV has announced a treasury partnership with Perenna, a top Solana stablecoin protocol. NASDAQ-listed Solana Digital Asset Treasury DeFi Development Corp, aka DFDV, announced a partnership with Perenna to mint USD Star stablecoins from its reserves, targeting approximately 15% APY yield from delta-neutral strategies, borrow-lend markets, and on-chain assets to fund operations, share buybacks, and, of course, SOL accumulation for Solana per share growth, SPS. This partnership will leverage DFDV's idle stablecoin holdings into a reserve revenue stream, enhancing treasury efficiency and shareholder value. Not only that, but DFDV's deposits will be eligible for Preno's points program. Digital asset treasuries need to compete for yield at every possible level, and this is what it looks like when you do it right.
And this next one is really exciting to me. We got some news from the Squats ecosystem, and that is a very useful product. It's called Grid Smart Transactions, and this is what it's about. The feature is a new method to automate on-chain actions, like, for example, recurring payments, very good for payroll, yield optimization, and portfolio rebalancing, without having to develop and audit your own smart contracts. You can build all kinds of workflows for trading, farming, payroll by using custom triggers and parameters like required signers, balance checks, and program allowances. In the near future, you'll be able to design how your money moves on-chain with just a few clicks and buttons. I think that is really good for the new wave of crypto companies and very useful tech.
Lifinity has drafted a proposal to shut down the protocol and redistribute all of its assets. This is a bit of sadder news. Lifinity was Solana's pioneering Oracle-based DEX with protocol-owned liquidity. They achieved over $622 million in cumulative volume, improved that protocol-owned liquidity could outcompete centralized players. You can kind of think of them as an early ancestor to prop AMMs like Humidify. The Lifinity team continues to develop V3, but their concern is that the emerging market structures, I don't really know what that means, but I'm very curious what it does mean from an MM perspective, make it unlikely to outperform the current V2 Lifinity model. And to be clear, the new generation of prop AMMs have completely eaten away Lifinity's market share. And so it makes sense that they would put up this proposal. The current proposal asks that they should shut down operations and distribute treasury assets proportionately to Lifinity token holdings. So a bit of sadder news, but it is what it is.
On the other side, I got one more for you guys, a new update from a protocol called Plume, and they're bringing real-world yield to Solana. It has been launched in July 2025. It's backed by investors like One Ventures. Plume is an RWA protocol that has announced 5 Nest yield vaults on Solana, backed by institutional assets from Wisdom Tree, Hamilton Lane, Black Opal, Securitize, and Superstate, delivering yields from treasuries, private credit, and receivables. If you want even more exposure to real-world assets, the Plume's Loop Scale integration is set to support leveraged RWA looping for amplified returns while maintaining over-collateralization. Very interesting DeFi stuff going on here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're bullish on a very stable, like RWA looping out of all the types of looping makes me the most excited because, let's say that you have something that's very safe that only does, let's say 5% yield, like treasury bills, right? Maybe 4%.
Yeah.
But then, if you could do, I mean, I don't know how much they would let you loop this, but if you could do, 10x looping on US Treasury bills, that's nuts, right? It's very capital efficient, and you get way more yield for a very low risk profile.
And I think it's kind of true innovation, right? You can't do this anywhere else as easy as that. I'm pretty sure you can do it in traditional finance somehow, but you gotta fucking study finance and have to have a few good friends to give you access to whatever the fuck you use. I have no idea how to do this in the real world, and I studied finance, so this is definitely making user experience much easier. Really, really bullish on that. Before we head over into the next section, what do you think about opening a very quick and small trade on Flash Trade? Because Solana is pumping right now, and there might be, with all this volatility, there might be a good entrance here. We can chip in
I'm bullish on that. Pulling up your screen right now, my friend.
Hell yeah. Okay, so I am logged in here into my my small alternative account here on Flash Trade. We're looking at the Solana chart on the 15-minute chart here, and I think I'd like to go long actually, because I think the momentum is there right now, even though we're highly oversold and blah 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 on the RSI, but that's just 15 minutes. I do think there is still potential we can go higher, but let's just do like that. Let us open. Let's see if we can, how far away can we open the order here? I'd like to open a limit buy. Just put in $20 here, and we're gonna put like a good juicy, let's just do a 50x, let's keep it easy for today. And then let's see if we can manage to reach this level. Oh, actually, are we reaching it right now? I didn't. Oh, no. Okay. So I put in a limit order 137.67. So if the price is going to go down until there to kind of retest this area here, because I think it could happen that the RSI is going to pull back a little bit. Right now we're trying to break through here. So there's definitely resistance. Let's see. Maybe we can catch a trade here and then go up from there. If it doesn't trigger and we start pumping, then that's fine. Then we're gonna keep it easy for today. Let's keep it open while we're yapping about the last deep dive topics here on today's podcast. What do you got for us?
Oh man, we're going to talk about the namesake of this podcast. We're deep diving into Vibhu versus everyone. It seems like have you been paying attention to this? Like Vibhu is like picking fights with just about everybody outside the Solana ecosystem.
Yeah, he's having fun, man. He's having fun. He's waking up every morning. He's like, today I'm gonna take them all out. These motherfuckers. Like he's ready to fight, bro. I'm scared of him now to see him at breakpoint. He feels like he's on something.
Yeah. It reminds me of when I first joined Solana and Mert's tweets used to flood my timeline. It kind of feels like the second coming of Mert.
Okay. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Where do we even start with this, bro?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with like a little bit of background context. So just a few days ago, there was a tweet from the Base account. And it seemed fairly innocent, right? Like Base meets Solana connected by Chainlink. The Base Solana bridge is now live and secured by CCIP, unlocking a native Solana asset support on Base and unified liquidity between both ecosystems. And so like, on its face, or shouldn't we be happy about this, Simon? Right? Like when you first see this, it's like, oh, okay. Like, we've had our differences with Base in the past, but there's now a bridge between Solana and Base. Like that's a principally good thing, right? Like the future is multi-chain.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, is it? How wait a second. How Solana Maxi are you really? Is the future multi-chain?
I just think that certain regions will prefer other chains in the same way that certain regions prefer certain phones or prefer certain ISPs or banks. Like it's why, because you get your recommendations for what you use based on what your friends and family use. So for example, if Avalanche has a stronghold in Japan, there's really not much you can do. Like once the network effects start to take hold, and that's what's happening in Japan right now, by the way. Avalanche is kicking Solana's ass. And so we're doing a lot to change that, but like it's a very delicate moment right now. And if we don't stop Avalanche's network effect over in Japan, then just everybody will be using Avalanche in Japan. And that's the end of the story, right? So that's why I think the future is multi-chain, mostly because of region specific, spread.
I mean, everyone uses email, right? There's no second system. Everyone uses the same POP and EMAP servers with the same underlying technology to send emails. It doesn't matter if I'm in India or if I'm in Australia or if I'm in the USA or if I'm in Germany. They're going to know what an email is and they're going to give me their email because the underlying protocol that was established like more than 20 years ago has, caught international global acceptance. So can Solana be the layer for global value transfer? Accelerated by internet network effects, but
no, I mean that's what we want, and that's what we're building towards. We want it to be the Gmail, right? Like Gmail, to be really clear, has murdered email for everybody. Like, yes, there are other email clients, but like to be clear, like Gmail is the clear winner there. But for every Gmail, there's like 10 different ecosystems that are all fractured based on region. Like I'll use messaging apps as an example, right? Like the US prefers iMessage, Korea prefers KakaoTalk, Japan uses Line, India uses WhatsApp. I mean, like just everybody has their own. And then Instagram kind of feels like the universal messaging app for everybody around the world because everybody has Instagram. But yeah, it's not crazy to think that there's going to be a multi-chain future. And so like this doesn't.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right. I think I'm holding on my views and I have a strong opinion, but it's loosely held, and I'm open for multi-chain future while currently believing very strongly in Solana. But zooming in back to this announcement and the drama around it, it is actually not that is not the topic of discussion, right? If you're a multi-chain or
Right.
single chain, no. This is all about, it's more about communications, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm looking at here in terms of my kind of research is that, Base announced this, right? So Base announced the bridge. And then, Vibhu was like, it's a bit of an inaccurate marketing because it is you claim this to be bi-directional, but there was zero Solana ecosystem outreach. And Jesse, I think, came back as well at some point, and he was like, we begged for 6 months to collab, and we got ghosted. So I think it's more about the comms, if I'm not mistaken. What do you got for us in terms of the context? Am I on the right track here?
Yeah, I mean, Vibhu got he gave an analogy, right? And the analogy is very simple. It's like, let's say that you declare that there's a bridge, and then you go to the other side, and then when you try to come back, there are construction materials for a bridge, but there is actually no bridge. Like, is that actually a two-way bridge? Yeah, he was saying that the marketing was inaccurate, as you rightfully pointed out. And then he had this tweet that blew up, and it blew up because so this is what you said, which is like, you didn't set up a single Solana partner for launch, didn't talk to Solana Foundation, marketing or ops, or dropped a repo. Just dropped a repo. And how everybody on Base took this, and Ethereum, is, Vibhu was saying that launching on Solana is permissioned. They completely misconstrued his argument and made it seem as if, like, well, first you must talk to Solana Foundation before you launch. So there's a lot of bad faith arguments that were made, but at the same time, like, the phrasing is regrettable. It does, if you don't know Vibhu at all, and if you don't know Solana's ethos at all, like, it's not unreasonable that someone would read this and be like, okay, well, are you saying that I have to talk to you to get permission? But yeah, that's why this tweet blew up a lot more than it should have.
Yeah, interesting, right? Like, you
250,000 views, dude.
Just throw them a stick, and they're gonna, or you give them the hand, they're gonna fucking rip up your arm. This is how it looks like for me. Like, I think the thing is, Solana ecosystem and Solana Foundation, and in particular Solana Foundation, is perceived as this ivory tower entity, like calling the shots, pulling the strings, very kind of centralized. From outside, a few people inside Solana, I think, then, and also from the outside. Do you have that perception, by the way, of Solana Foundation, to be in that kind of closed ecosystem, ivory tower? They do their thing. Doesn't really matter what happens on the bottom. You got to ask them for permission and allowance for everything you do. And if you can make it into their circle, then you can make it on Solana. Like, there's these arguments, especially in the Ethereum community, but even in Solana, we have builders that say that.
So yeah, I fight pretty vehemently with people who say this, because I think that I am a very good example of someone who came to Solana with literally 0 connections, an account with 12 followers, and built my way up, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, I got ignored a lot by a lot of people, and I'm not even just talking about Solana Foundation. I'm also talking protocols, right? Like, but it just kind of feels like people aren't taking responsibility for what's in their power and what's not in their power. Like, if people aren't paying attention to you, then you need to do things that are noteworthy enough to be worth notice. Like, nobody owes you their attention or time. But that being said, I like, as I reached out more and more to Solana Foundation, like, I work with them quite a bit now. Like, obviously I don't work for Solana Foundation, but like, especially the events team, and Vibhu himself, like, we have a decent relationship. People on the funding side, the engineering side, John Wong,
great just people, very forthcoming. Like, they're open to collaborate. They answer your DMs, like, as long as you have good intentions and have, like, ask credible questions, and you're not, if you're stupid, you get stupid answers, again, or no answer. If you ask a stupid question, or just want to farm and chill, whatever. But if you have good intentions, they're gonna back you. They're gonna help you. And they're very forthcoming. What's Mert saying here?
Yeah, I mean, so this is a great example of the type of tweet that was coming out of the Ethereum ecosystem, which is like, Solana guys learn the permissionless world, and then Mert was saying, like, bro, that is not what he was saying. Like, nobody cares that the bridge was built. He's commenting specifically on the messaging being a mutual collaboration and positive sum when only Base teams were consulted. And then you had Jesse, who claps back with, I spent 6 months trying to get you to collaborate with this on us, Mert. And he's like, yeah, I knew it was coming. Mert was basically saying he was busy. And then then Jesse goes into further detail, saying that like, look, we tried to talk to Foundation too. That includes Toli and Solana teams, etc. And then Matt Sorg, who has worked at Foundation for a very, very long time, jumps into the chat. He's much more diplomatic, right? And he's saying that like, look, I was added to some channels. The reason why we didn't collaborate with you is because we didn't have a clear ask from the base side. We didn't completely understand what you guys wanted. And so they go, there's a lot of back and forth, but the long and the short of it is the base ecosystem seems to be stirring up a lot of drama with bad faith arguments. And that like there was room for reasonable doubt about like what exactly happened in the communications between Base Foundation and Solana Foundation. Yes, Matt acknowledges that they talked to each other, but that the asks weren't very clear.
Can we take a look at this Jesse post here before you pull up Matt's the intention he said here, like we want a bridge that is bi-directional into kind of both in both directions, for base builders to go to Solana and for Solana builders to go to Solana. Our thesis is that this is win-win for both ecosystem. We're thinking we get there by working towards an enshrined trust minimized bridge that proves the state transition functions on either side. Yeah, like let's see what Matt is saying, but I think we're arriving at a point now where we don't really need that. Like, do it if you want, but what do you want from us? Like, it's I don't know. Do you need to open like group chats for that and be like, again, like as Matt probably said as well, the ask is not clear here. What do you want from the Solana ecosystem? Really, like we're doing our thing here. We're building our. I think we're also fairly big and larger than you guys on the base side of things. If you want your base builders to have an easy way to bridge to Solana, okay, sure, go ahead. But what's the ask? Like, what do they want from us?
Well, I mean, the way that Matt tells it, and this is just his perspective, is that like his DMs only had intros for Alpenglow researchers, right? And he didn't really understand. So it's very plausible that Jesse, from the top down perspective, was telling his team like, hey, we need to make more inroads into Solana. So like that's fair, right? What was the actual, and this is where the details, like the truth always lives in the details, and the details are never really fascinating. It's just usually boring, right? And to me, it just looks like a very clear communication error from the base side and Solana Foundation side about what exactly the ask was. In Matt's perspective, you wanted introductions to Anza for Alpenglow? Like, I don't really understand, like, why? Whereas Jesse is saying something completely different. So they're talking past each other at this point. And not in I think Jesse is speaking in good faith here. But yeah, there was a a bit of a disagreement on what exactly was being asked for. And to your point, it's like this doesn't benefit Solana at all, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't really care.
Exactly, that's the point. Yeah, we don't really care. But yeah, again, like if the expectancies are clearly defined, and that's probably the problem. Like they tried to make Solana more interested in this whole idea of building that TCP/IP bridge with Chainlink, and they wanted Solana to kind of. I think at the end of the day, they just wanted Solana to support this on marketing and to push it, right? They just wanted to kind of tap into that mindshare of Solana, and then what ended up was that Solana didn't give a shit, and it's like, yeah, we don't really need that. Like sorry guys, we can't help you with this. Like just ghost them. They just ghosted them. And which basically means that okay, if you want to build a bridge, then go ahead, do it and talk about it or whatever. But don't make it look like we're doing this together, right? Like we're not going to push this. And then yeah, this is what happened at the end of the day. Yeah, here you go.
Vibhu was roasting us in or me in the comments. Multi-chain is not the future. Solana is the future.
I'm actually with this one. I'm not always on the same page as you, but in the recent weeks, surprisingly on most things, and I'm with him on that. Like, why the fuck would you? Like, I mean, it's been a narrative for the past 3 years that declined, in my opinion. Like multi-chain, chain agnostic, and all that shit. It was huge when people still thought that Ethereum and all these EVMs and all these layer 2s are going to be working together, and it's multi-chain is the future. And then you learned that it is kind of copy pasta big protocols from one layer 2 to the other layer 2, and then throw a bunch of grants from huge fundraise rounds at builders that to attract them to your L2, and whenever the liquidity runs out, they go to the next L2, get the grant there. I literally did that. right? When we were almost broke before we came to Solana. Like I was on that journey. I was one of these people. And yeah, that didn't work. That's not the future as well, right? No one gives a shit where the product really lives if the underlying tech is good. Solana tech is good, and we don't need multi-chain expansion, right? We also don't need a lot of SVMs. Yeah, I don't know. Just like I do have a strong opinion that is loosely held here until I'm proven otherwise. I'm gonna hold strong at saying that Solana has potential to be the global value transfer settlement layer for a lot of shit, and we don't really need Base to help us with that.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So do you want to move on to our next deep dive?
We got one more deep dive, and let me tell you, it's gonna get wet.
Or dry.
Right?
Yeah,
dry. Yeah, maybe that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
the joke has gotten a little dry.
Yeah.
So if you remember our podcast last week, we were super excited for the public sale of the WET token, just because like the previous sales of the WET token had gone so well. The WET list sold out, as well as the Jupe staker allocation also sold out. I think the Jupe staker allocation sold out in like a minute and 18 seconds. It was super quick. It's like $2 million, like boom, like that.
I was asleep. I thought maybe I'll wake up an hour later and it's still there, but yeah, fuck that. It was just gone.
Yeah. But then there was like 24 hours, or maybe 12 hours. Yeah, 12 hours. 12 hours after the Jupe staker allocation was sold out, they had a public sale. And in that public sale, it was sold out in less than a second. And this is how it played out. The good news is the WET presale was very hyped and a lot of people wanted to get in. The bad news, just a few botters were able to use bundled transactions to snipe a substantial amount of the supply in seconds. Good news, after discussing with the Humidified team, we're going to find a solution to ensure a more equitable distribution.
What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, let's look at some more facts, Simon. 4% public sale supply went to just 10 wallets. Pre-sale was completely botted. Basically rugged. And yes, Jupiter Exchange is to blame. He provides these addresses. It's concerning, right? I mean, is it just me?
I mean, it's what I find a bit concerning, and I'm not, firing shots here. I'm just stating the obvious. Is that I'm hoping that we have the right tech by now to, avoid these kind of launches, especially if the launch is being facilitated by a team that has been literally doing nothing else than token launches, like or liquidity provisioning and so on. Like Meteora are fucking chats, right? Like they are probably the smartest we have on Solana when it comes to building this tech. And why do we still get that problem with the launch on it's a brand new launch pad. There's a lot of skin in the game, right? Like to do it right. Would you agree with me that DTF kind of, definitely fucked up when it comes to with their first launch here to do it like we're not even talking about token performance. The token's not even out yet, right? We're not even talking about token performance of the token launch. We're talking just about making sure that the tech is okay, right? To attract other projects. Are other projects now going to be like, hell yeah, I want to go to DTF and launch there? I think it looks a bit risky now from the outside. So it's a bit spicy.
Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate. I hate to see it. It's sloppy work, I know the Jupiter team can do better. I mean, like there's no nice way to say it, right? Like this it's a bit of a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
I think I might have locked my wife out again.
Go ahead. I'm looking at why would you do that? I'm looking at a tweet here as well from Jupiter. I think we haven't pulled that up one yet. The public statement, right? We are fixing this. Here's the plan. We will be voiding the public sale phase that happened on the 4th of December. Exactly. All addresses that committed to this phase of the sale will be refunded their USDC commitment soon. Okay, so all public sale participants, alrighty. Participants who successfully committed to the wet list and Jupe stakers are still retaining their allocations will be able to claim them from the ETF page at TGE time. The good news, the wet public sale phase will be relaunched on Monday 8th, that is today, at 10 a.m. ET, that is in a few hours, with added counterbot measures being worked on in conjunction with the Humidify team. Okay, thanks for, I mean, I was hoping they already figured it out, but it looks like they're still fucking around, which is okay, it's fine. But after 2-3 years of building, we definitely need to stop fucking around and start finding out. So the current wet token, here's the CA, is voided, will not be the official token of Humidify, guys. Okay, so please keep that in mind. It has been unverified from Jupiter. All supply that is accessible by the TF team will be burnt, 900 million wet. So yeah, there's a summary here, guys. You'll find it on the Jupiter page at Jupiter Exchange if you are curious and you want to know what's happening.
Yeah, and there's also this, if you're looking over at the official statement from the Humidify account. So what's going to happen next in Waterworld? We're creating a new token. All wetlist and Jupe staker buyers will receive a pro rata airdrop. The sniper is not getting shit. Fuck that guy. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Humidify comps.
Yeah. Why is it?
And I want to be really clear.
Enough?
I really want this launch to go well. Okay, let's be very, very clear. I want DTF to do well. I want Jupiter to do well. I don't know, Simon. Do you feel like Jupiter works on too many things?
Yeah. Here's my take on it, and I'm a big user of the product. I like Juke Mobile outperformed, I think, most other wallets. Like, I'm obviously a fan of other wallets as well, as you might be able to tell. But there is definitely a point to make that Jupiter Mobile has built a great product. So they do good things, right? And for the ecosystem as well. But what they're just not well organized. Sorry, guy. Like, I don't know what you do internally, but I think the whole structure of, there's no management and, like everyone reports to like there's no, I think I'm not in there, right? But I think the corporate structure of Jupiter needs to be rethought. They might need to get a fucking, then they might need to get a company in-house that just, consults them. I think they're a great consulting case, honestly. Like my high school friends, my university friends that are now all working in consulting, I'm the only weirdo that went into crypto and not some of the TradFi and consulting jobs. They would love this case, and they would love to look at, okay, what is Jupiter Exchange? What is the company doing? What is the product? What are the deep products? What are the features? How they're set up? What does the team look like? How's the management being done? It's a great business kind of case study, honestly, of what doesn't work and what needs to be done to make it work. It can be, it can work, but I think they got some deeper problems potentially under the hood.
So if I were to bring up a test case on Solana of another team that works on a bunch of shit and does very, very well, is Bonk, right? I think Bonk does one of the best jobs at juggling so many different products. Now, one could make the case that hey, you cannot be comparing Bonk to Jupiter. Like, Jupiter has higher TVL for its products. It has a lot more usage on its products. On some level, I agree with that argument. But it's just super clear to me that there needs to be. It's not so much that Jupiter needs to reduce the amount of products as they need to increase the amount of internal leaders, and they have plenty of competent and smart people who work there. And so it just kind of feels like there needs to be more attention paid from A to Z by a single person who that's all they do. And I'm sure to some degree, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't work at Jupiter.
We're only looking from the outside, right? We're literally like consultants, and even worse, because we didn't get a pile of papers to analyze. We're just looking from what we see on the timeline and from what we hear from our friends, right? So really take all this with a grain of salt. But I want to see these teams win, obviously, and I believe there's a lot you can do. Bonk is built different because they have a bunch of independent teams, highly independent teams that are doing their own shit, that are just enabled by Bonk, right? But Jupiter is very different, right? Like I think they are a bit more centralized as an entity. I think the teams do report, in a different manner to each other and are being held accountable because of also underlying incentives, probably. It's different, right? For Bonk, it's almost like they have they invest in a project, and then Moonwalk is out there, and it's not officially affiliated with Bonk, but obviously they get a lot of backing from them. They have shares in the company, and they're going to help them. They're going to enable them. But Moonwalk is their own company. But so it's a bit different, I think, the setup here, and this works very well for the Bonk eco.
Yeah, I think it does work very well. So, anyways, onwards and upwards for the Jupe team and for the wet pre-sale. They're doing another public sale today, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So best of luck to everybody.
10 a.m. Yeah, but if you're already in the staking list, then you'll have a guaranteed allocation. Just to keep that in mind as well. Cool. Then looking at our flash trade order here, it did not trigger yet. So we've been Japanino, but we didn't catch that long. So yeah, I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna close the order because I don't want to do it off stream. We're gonna try another one next time. We're gonna try another one next time when we're live again. But we covered the most important news here today on the timeline, and also when it comes to Solana. We're gonna see everyone at the next one, right? We're gonna call it a day for today.
So do you want to cover one more piece of news? It's a pretty big piece of sponsor news.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I forgot. Oh, that is very relevant. We have to cover.
Yes. Just at least one, which is it's really, really big. Which is Soulflare. They've just released a new product, and Vidor wrote this really long think piece about why he released this product. There's obviously we're not going to read through this whole thing, but basically the TLDR here is that if you've ever used hardware devices, they fucking suck for a variety of reasons: cables, dead batteries, unclear flows, etc., etc. And now if you remember, we saw this kind of like video last week, but we didn't know what they were talking about. It's the Soulflare Shield. It's a hardware wallet. You tap to authorize transactions in your Soulflare hot wallet. So it's like kind of like a combo hot, cold. That's super interesting. It's really, really cool.
It is really cool. And the customization option is also cool, but it's just a nice gimmick, honestly. I was approached by Soulflare before that campaign, and we helped them with a bit of product feedback. That's all I can say when it comes to finding the best way to market this product. And they were thinking a lot about how should there be customization options? Should there be like a premium version, like a metal or whatever? And I think now they came to a very good data-based result here, which is you have 3 different, I think, versions of the product. There's kind of the OG Shield that is like pretty lean and minimalistic. But then you also have like a double pack that you can get, where you get like 2 for like a better price. And then you also have one where you can customize. So the signature version, I think, is where you can really get like exclusive designs from other artists. And this one is the unique one, is the one where you can customize your own things. And you can just slap on whatever. So we can make a Soul Brothers version of it. I can create a Solana ID version of it. There's a beautiful Flash Trade UI already posted by the Flash Trade main account of a Soulflare Shield with Flash Trade branding on it. So it's just cool. It's a nice gimmick. But that is all cherry on top. What is really bullish is that this is actually, again, fairly innovative, because it helps you to sign transactions with a cold wallet with your phone, without having to plug in some weird ass cables and carry around some device that looks like it's from 2010. Nope, you have like something that's really slick. It has an NFC chip. You just have to hold it on your phone, and it adds just another layer of security to your Soulflare wallet, because without that thing, you just can't send money around with your phone. So even if someone cracks that phone, and even if someone cracks that wallet and gets into that wallet, that's already a lot of steps to take. Then now they need also that card to take off your millions of dollars you have in your Soulflare wallet. If they don't have that card, if they don't have the hardware for it, they can't sign any transactions, right? And vice versa. the same thing. If you only have that card, it's useless as well, right? You got to have the private key. You got to have that wallet as well. And if you have the visual enabled right now when you watch this, if you're watching on YouTube at Sol Brothers Pod, then you can see we are showing right now on the screen the flash rate version of it. What do you think, Eno?
I think it's really sexy, by the way.
Yeah,
and also a stroke of marketing genius. I really like Solflare's approach to product here. They're doing it so much differently than the other teams on Solana. Specifically, their focus on hardware is unparalleled in the ecosystem. This is what you would expect from a really mature Web 2 company. Like I feel like Solflare has some of the best operations I've seen so far. There are plenty of teams that have money, right? But money cannot buy taste. Money cannot buy class. Money cannot buy this feeling of like, even their maybe I'm glazing a little too hard here for Solflare, but like their campaign with the Porsche, the multiple vehicles, sports cars, like it's just professional. Like no one else is operating on that level. It's pretty amazing, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it is true, and especially putting this next to some of the other companies we covered in today's podcast, you'll see some differences. And I don't know if it's cultural, if it's leadership as well, right? So big shout out to Philip and Vidor, who are leading the charge at Solflare. And this is not us ass kissing our sponsors. We pick our sponsors. We make conscious decisions of who to work with. And we picked Solflare because we actually do believe that they do a good job, right? So we're not, and myself, we're not hungry for the sponsorship deals here. Luckily, we have a say in that discussion, and that was always the goal for Sol Brothers, right? Like to have some sort of independency and some sort. Of course, we need sponsors, but I want to be in the lead here. I don't want to need to work with a project that I don't want to work with because I don't like it. So yeah, what else? You got something else?
Nope, that's we're gonna close out the podcast here today. Really appreciate everybody joining, and Vibhu, if you're still listening, just want to say, maybe take it a little bit easy on the on the timeline.
He's not gonna do that. I mean, I hear you, but he's not gonna take your advice. I think he's right now on. I don't know if he's on test or something, but he's definitely aggressive on the timeline. And I think it's, maybe we need it. Maybe it's good. Just say what you think out there, and let's see what happens. Deal with the consequences after.
Actually, he gave me a piece of advice that I've seen him tweeting a lot more now on the timeline as well. But he said that, and it really hit me the right way, which is you can't accomplish meaningful things if you're too scared of people not liking you. That doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to be an asshole. But it certainly also means that like sometimes you're going to have to say the hard thing. And especially if the hard thing is meaningful, you should fucking say it. So
and then important is to have some healthy distance from what people will tell you, because don't let them get under your skin, I guess. Because it's gonna happen. If you have strong opinions and you actually put them out there, and you're not scared to put them out there, you have to deal with the consequences, as I said. And they might be sometimes, especially on Twitter, they can be painful, at least at first glance. And that's where the subtle art of not giving a fuck comes in. And you gotta have that distance and confidence as well in your own opinions, right? At the end of the day.
Unfortunately, I very much do give a fuck.
Work in progress. Work in progress, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sol Brothers Pod this week. It's a big week. We're going to see you again later this week on Thursday. If you want to join the live streams, we do stream every week, twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to give you the latest and greatest here. But if you want to consume the content after we are live, then head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button for the channel at Sol Brothers Pod. Also leave a like on the videos because it helps us a lot and it doesn't cost you anything. We'll see you at the next one. Until then, stay safe out there. Peace out.
And cut.
Alrighty, mighty. Good live stream, Farm. Thanks, guys, for being with us. Do you have anything to say, or should we close it down?
No, I think we should close it out. And also, the wife is here, so I think I'm gonna grab a little dinner.
Oh! Hell yeah! Is it the last?
I'll see.
Is it gonna be the last dinner in Korea? It is, I think.
Yeah, last dinner into Korea and actually got a pack for Abu Dhabi now.
Cool. All right, friend. I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys, in the stream. We're going to close it down. Peace out, everyone.
Peace out.
Bye.